Bluetooth off कर दे.
We'll get started now. I'll give you guys 3-4 minutes to send any questions you have in the chat. I think the first question a lot of you guys asked is, am I staying for 2 hours today? No, I'm taking my 2-hour class at the final week. So the very end of this term, I'll take 2 hours of just the mock exam, questions and stuff. So today, Maria will still be coming in. But yeah, send all your questions in the chat. So anything you'd like me to send it in the Yes. So I know Maria said last week that I'll be taking 2 hours today. That was the initial plan. But then I realized that if I were to do 2 hours today, there isn't much content to cover in 2 hours. Obviously, there's the maths from last week, and then there's generability from this week, but it wouldn't really take up 2 hours. And then I was thinking at the end of the term, when we have 2 hours, when we have the full mock exam, I think that is an area where a lot of you guys have questions about. So I thought I'll cover that instead. Okay, so I've got a few questions coming through. Okay, let me connect my iPad then. So I'll start off with Dev's question, abstract reasoning. Then we have Tanya, who wants to go through maths. And then Minuti and Dev. Yep. All right, I'll go through those questions, guys.
Melvin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have any other homework after next week? This week's one?
No, so this week you have maths and that's it. And then the week after you'll come in and we'll go through the question. Well, next week you'll go through maths, right? And then the week after you will have your mock exam.
When we'll get the mock exam back?
You'll get that the week after.
Okay.
You still have 3 weeks of classes left.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. All right, so Shri, are you here with us?
Yes.
Okay, Shri, give me a second. Join meeting. All right, so Shri, what is it?
807
807
616
616
2117.
Thank you, Agent Shri. All right. Melvin 2.0 has entered the chat. Okay. So, can you guys see my shared screen?
No.
No.
You can see, right?
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Now we can.
Yes.
Awesome.
Now we can. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let's go through it. Go through with it. Let me find the question. As you guys can tell, I'm a bit tired today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling? Are you guys tired today?
Yeah.
Yes. Very.
Yeah.
What's
It's
your
very hard.
active?
Not
What's
that
your
much.
Very, very,
What's your screen?
Sorry. Oh, my screen's gone.
very
Sorry, I'll connect it. So the first question Dev asked was question number 8. So we'll go through 8 first, and then we'll go to the other ones. So, okay. Question number 8. Okay. So in question number 8, as you guys can, clearly you can't see black on black. Rub that out. Okay. So as you for question number 8, as you can see, there's 2 features. Do you guys have the booklet in front of you? Because I can't share both the booklet and the screen. So I hope you guys can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wait, maybe I do have it. Term 4. No, I don't have the booklet in here. Okay. Anyways. Oops, that's next week's homework answers. Oops. Okay. So, question number 8 has 2 different features, as you can see. So you have the 2 squares, right? So there's the 2 squares. There's square 1 is here. Oh, oops, I'm gonna use a different color. Square 1's here, and then you have. Sorry.
You shouldn't have said that was next week's homework. Otherwise, nobody would have looked.
Yeah, I know. I was joking. Like, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Okay, because how are you gonna memorize it really fast? And if you do cheat, there's no benefit to coming to tuition, anyways, right? So let's take a look at it. So you have 2 squares. Now, this type of question is usually one of the hardest questions in GATE because you have 2 things that look identical, and you have to figure out, as the pattern goes, which one is which, right? So usually the biggest trick I can give you for this type of question is understanding that one of the features, so one of the squares, is going to have a very simple pattern. And let's see if we can find a very simple pattern. So I've already found it just by looking at it. And the simple pattern is that this yellow one is going +1, +1, then it's going +1, then it's going +1. So where does it go next?
Down.
Down
Forward. +1.
+1 to the left, right?
Oh, no.
So it has to be A or D. And then next, let's take a look at the red square. The red square starts at the top, and then it goes to here. So that's +2, and then it goes all the way here. That's 1, 2, 3, +2, +3, and then it goes all the way here. That's +4, and then the next one, it goes all the way around. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, that's strange.
Melvin, it's not +4. It's plus. Yeah, it's +3.
The pattern is
+4.
+3.
Sorry?
Pattern is +2,
+3.
+3.
It's +3.
+2, +3. Oh, okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3. So it's going +3. And then it goes back +2.
Yep.
All right. And then what comes next? Let's take a look at the answers. It's definitely not A because it's not staying in the same. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be +4 or it could be +1, 2, 3. Which one makes more sense? +2, +3, +3, +2, +3, or +2, +3, +3, +2, +4. Which one?
The top one.
Yeah.
Top
So
one.
First one.
because of that, the answer is D. The answer is D. All right. Next.
Let's see. Question number 13. Okay. Go down. Oops. Question number 13. So you have a pentagon and you have a line that's moving sporadically. Now, usually you look at the line to see if, for example, like it's moving within the pentagon in a specific pattern. But if you look at it, it starts off at the bottom, then it goes like this, then it goes like this, then it goes back like this. So it's very, very strange. But another thing you can look at.
What's this?
Question number 13.
You said it goes
so
like this.
Oh, so look at my hands. Can you see my hands?
No.
Oh, okay.
Watching the
all right. So
share screen.
I'll show it to you. I'll draw it then. So it could, for example, usually, for example, when you look at something moving around, right? You will assume it goes from there, then it might move like that, then it might move like that, then it might move like that, then it might move like that. So it's moving in a specific pattern. But in this question, it starts at the bottom, then it starts at the bottom, then it goes like this, then it goes like this, then it goes back to this position. So it's not moving at an even pace. So in this question, what's basically happening is each of the points of the line. By the way, this is a really good example of a different type of pattern taking place. So sometimes you don't always have to, for example, move in, for example, like you don't always have to move in a set pattern. Another thing you can look out for is for example, the number of times it touches an edge, or the number of spaces it touches and things like that. So in this question, the thing you should look out for is look at the line where it starts off and identify that as two separate places and think of them moving separately. So in the first image, you have a line at the bottom and you have point 1 and you have point 2. And this point will move randomly to this point. Like you would think that it's one line and they move together, but in this pattern, they're moving separately. So this point in the first image, I think it's going +1, +1, +1, and the next one should be +1. And then this point here, it starts off here, and then it goes +2, and it goes +1. Then it goes +2, next one should be +1.
Melvin, how do you know it's moving separately?
Yeah, honestly, it just comes with practice and just trial and error. So with generability, because you can have an unlimited amount of random patterns, right? It really comes down to like looking for the most common ones and the basic ones you've already seen before. And then once you exhaust that and you can't find anything else, you start looking for, other things. I'll connect it. I'll connect my screen. Don't worry.
Hey,
So,
Melvin.
Oh,
Your screen.
Yeah, as I said, I'll connect it. So as you asked Arati, basically it's just more practice, and the more you'll get better at it. The other thing is, in generability, one of the best things I'd recommend you practicing is remembering patterns, because the more patterns you get exposed to, the more you remember, or in the top of your head, the faster you'll see them. So you have more time to do the random patterns. For example, when me or Jenny are doing a generability question, both of us, or Manny and Henry and stuff like that, we can quickly find out the easy patterns. But it'll take us a bit longer to do the harder ones, right? And same thing in generability. If you guys expose yourself and remember the easy patterns, you would be doing the easy questions really fast, and you have time to do these crazy ones. So how do you find, how did I know that this was to moving separately? Well, just trial and error. I went through all the other patterns, none of them made sense. So then I stopped and I looked at the first image to the second image, and I like literally wrote down what changed. And then from the second image to the third image, what changed. And then when you draw that, you can start to see that they're moving separately. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
Melvin,
Yeah.
your iPad, the one which you have the notes on, that might just die in a few minutes because it's on red.
Okay. I'll put it on charge.
Yeah. It was good.
All right. Yes, Adrian.
Would you recommend us to practice for
Sorry.
the?
Breakfast.
Would you recommend for us to practice for the test in 3 weeks?
Would I recommend you practice for the test in 3 weeks?
2.
Sorry.
For Loyola.
Could you type it in, because I think your microphone's really muffly, because it might be the Bluetooth device.
Melvin, I forgot
Yeah.
to mark question 13. So what's the answer for question 13?
The answer for question 13, or let me see. So it's going this plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. A or B, and then the next one's going plus 1, no, plus 2, plus 1, plus 2, plus 1. It's A, 13A.
Melvin,
I had a 10 in a row streak of correct.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was my 11th one. So I'm like, oh no.
Hey, let's go. All right, so Tejra, your question was, would you recommend us practicing for the Loyola test in 2 weeks? Yeah, I would definitely recommend you practicing. So next week, although you don't have any homework, I would recommend you going back, looking at, for example, looking at your writing feedback, see which areas you need to improve on. I would recommend, for example, remember last week's English activity was all about, memorizing a story and then adapting it to a new topic?
Mhm.
I would recommend you practicing that.
What test?
Maybe you could, for example, memorize a story that you did really, really well on, and then, for example, adapting it to a text, adapting to the topic you get next in 2 weeks' time for the test itself.
What test?
You have a mock exam in 3 weeks' time, Aarti.
Okay.
Melvin, could you explain question 14 if you have time later?
Yeah, sure. No stress. Just send it in the chat. I'll go through it. I think a few people asked for 14, so I'll go through that as well. Do I have to sub to you to watch your live stream? No, you don't have to sub to me. I think you can, if you just search up Loyola Tutoring, you can see it. All right, next question. Where is it? Okay. We did 13. All right, 11 and 16. You know what I'll do? Should I go? Okay, I just go to individual. All right, 11. This one first, right? So the circle, as you can see, it's strangely, okay, this is a great example. Question 11 is a great example of how seeing a lot of generability questions helps you, get better at it. Oh, actually, never mind. do you guys want to know what stupid thing I just did just now?
What?
I opened up question 11, right? And I was staring at the answers, and I thought that was the question itself. And I was like, what? Is this a trick question? Because the pattern doesn't make any sense. Because usually when I look at the question, I can automatically kind of like tell what the pattern is. And I was looking at the answers, and I was like, none of these images make any sense. What's going on? That was very silly of me.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Just wow.
Very cool.
You guys are so mean. Okay, I'm joking. Let's move on to question 11. Why is it skipping so much? Sorry, my computer is kind of glitching out. I need to go back to question 11. Okay, question 11. So the circle, as you can see, is going down -1, -1, -1, -1. Then it should. Sorry, guys. I don't know for why, but like my screen's just glitching out.
Okay.
Melvin,
Which question are we doing?
Question 11, generability. All right.
the circles are not going down -1.
Sorry. Okay. So, yes, you're right. Oh my gosh. Why is my computer, what is it doing? I think I'm gonna rage quit right now on live stream.
Wow.
Don't.
Feel like a gamer. All right. So the circle is going down -1, -2, and then -1. My bad. It wasn't going -1, -1, -1. When I looked at it, I think I just thought it was going down 1 each time, but it's going -1, -2, -1. So it's going 1, 2, 1. Next one should be 2, right? So the answer has to be C or D. And then this black square is going down 1, then it's going down 2. Then it's going 1, 2, 3, and the next one should be 4. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer is C, 11C. Okay. Next question. Let's see.
Can we do 13, Melvin?
We just did 13.
Oh, okay.
All right, next. Question number 3 in Maths Week 6. Okay, question number 3. Grumpy's playing hide and seek with Happy and Sleepy. Happy is sleeping 6 meters south of Grumpy, and Sleepy is hiding 8 meters east of Happy. How far apart are Grumpy and Sleepy and Happy? All right. Okay, so Grumpy, aka Melvin, is playing hide and seek with Happy, aka I don't know who Happy and Sleepy is. But anyways, Happy is hiding 8 meters south of Grumpy. So Happy is here, 6 meters. And then who else is there? Sleepy is hiding 8 meters east of Happy. So,
Sleeping Grumpy.
So Sleepy, all right, 8 meters. So how far apart is Grumpy and Sleepy? Why did I write Melvin instead of Grumpy? Okay, so how far apart is Grumpy and Sleepy? I think that's me right now. I'm grumpy and I'm sleepy. All right. So basically, as you can see, this is just a Pythagoras question, because it's one person's directly below and the other person's directly right. So remember, when you have a right angle triangle, you just do the Pythagoras equation, and that was a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. A, we know, was 6 squared, and b was 8 squared, and therefore we can find c squared. 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, and that is equal to c squared. 36 plus 64 is?
100.
Square root of 100 is equal to c.
10.
C is equal to?
10. Melvin,
Yes, sir.
which one was this?
Which question
This
was
is
this?
question number 3 in week 6.
Wait, what question?
Question number 3 in week 6.
Oh, okay.
Maths. All right. Next, is there writing this week? No, there's no writing this week.
Wasn't there summary?
Oh yeah. So I'll talk about that towards the end of the lesson. I wasn't here for my lesson, so how can I mark my questions? We will send out the answer keys soon. So we just yeah.
Are we still gonna have Maria's class?
Yes, Mary is still gonna have your class with you guys today. So we just finished off all the answer keys today, and then we'll send them all out very soon. So today, basically me, Jenny, and Henry, we started our class. We started work in the morning at about 9 o'clock, and I was with them just till like an hour ago, and we were making more questions, and we were also making answer keys and stuff like that. So we'll send all those out very soon. I finished, by the way, printing out all your booklets. It's legit so much booklets. Like I think there was about a couple of thousand pages printed out. But everyone who filled out that form, we will bring out those booklets to you in the last week of class. But again, remember, yeah.
Are there going to be any poems in the next booklet? In terms for booklet?
There's no term for booklets. It's just the term 1 mock exams. So next term, every single class, it will be mock exam based. So we will be doing a total of 5 mock exams each week. The first, so it'll be, it'll be a pattern of the first week you'll do an exam, and the second week we'll go through the exam. So we're still finalizing a lot of the questions. Who knows? There will be. I don't know why making it such a big like surprise or mystery. There will be poems, yeah. There'll be a lot of.
Because I find poems hard and I want to practice them.
Cool. No stress.
Melvin.
Yes.
Melvin.
Yeah.
Are you still gonna like what do you know the prize for like the best booklet yet?
No, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out actually. That's actually
Has to be something good. Should be an icy call. No, that's way too that's not too good.
I don't know. We're trying to figure out what to do. But you can suggest that later. Is there any other questions relevant to the class right now?
Yes, Melvin.
Put them in the chat.
What is a booklet you're printing out?
So I sent out a message. I think a week and a half ago. Basically, I sent out a survey where you just filled in your details. And what I was planning to do was I'll get all of you an A5, like a small version of all the booklets that you guys have done in the past 3 terms, right? So you've had term 2 booklet, term 2 mock exam, term 3 booklet, term 3 mock exam. So give that to you guys to practice. So although you've done for example, the booklet in class, by giving you a blank version of it, you guys can have, practice that again, see how much of it you remember. So I basically said you guys can have, sorry guys, please, I'm speaking. Let me finish. Thank you. So what I suggested was I can give that to you guys for free. The only thing is if you guys could just leave a review on how you found Loyola, whether you liked it or whether you didn't like it. So that's printed out. I'll need to give that out to you in the final week.
I'll give you a 5. Can we still do the survey?
Yes, it's still open, I think. But I've already printed it out. So if it runs out, it runs out. I printed out a few extracts because I know that a few people had a bit of trouble. Yes.
Can you update the form?
Can I get the farm?
Can you update the forum?
The forum, yes, yeah. We're once we'll post the answer keys there soon.
And by the way, you said you do half an hour of find the middle class, of find the middle this week.
Aaron.
Melvin, you know the mock exams, right? Will that replace the booklets? Or will they still
for next term?
Yeah.
For next term, yes. So basically the mock exams, it's you know how at the end of the term, when you guys have come before, you guys get a entire test and then you do the test and then you go home.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it'll be like. So you'll come in the first week, you'll do the test, and then you'll go home. Next week you'll come in, we'll mark the papers and go through the questions, and that's it. And the week after you'll do another test, and then you'll go home, mark it. Next week you'll do another test like that.
Okay.
All right. Is it only the year sixes who are doing the mock exams? Yeah. Well, pretty much anyone who's continuing. We're not starting new students. We're not taking year 5 kids until you guys finish your test. So until you guys finish your test, our full focus is just for you guys. And then once you guys finish your test, we'll take on more new, the year 5 kids. Let's see. Is the mock exams timed? Yes, they are. I know. All right. Ahmed, what's up?
Was John calling me?
Ahmed?
Like, what was I gonna say? Wait, I'll come back.
No worries. Aaron?
I was just the class before.
Okay, Tadri?
Why do you do mock exams?
Sorry? Why do you get it?
Why do you do it?
Oh, for you guys to practice. So we pretty much taught you guys, right? Everything you really need to know to pass the GATE exam. Like, I'm not sure if I've told you guys this story, but there's a kid I taught. You can find this kid's mom's review on our website, because I think there's only a few reviews that we post on our website. But this kid's mom's review we posted because it's really interesting. Sorry, I'm gonna mute a few people. Watch your background. Okay, so this kid, she joined Loyola. All right, so she joined Loyola, I think, at the 2 weeks before the actual GATE test. So she had essentially 10 teaching lessons with us. So Saturday and Sunday I didn't teach her, but Monday to Friday she came for 10 lessons with me. She ended up passing the GATE test. So the moral of the story is you can learn everything you need for the GATE. Sorry, there's a bunch of people dancing. It's really funny because I can see your camera. But sorry, yeah. So the moral of the story is you can learn everything you need for the GATE exam in a very short amount of time. But the main thing is just practice, practice, practice. So the mock exam helps you guys get in the mental space of doing the GATE test. Other than practice, there's also the mental aspect of it. So 2 years ago, I had this kid that was really smart. Like I legit, he was like the smartest kid in my class. But when we did our first mock exam, he started crying in the middle of the test. The main reason is he was really, really smart, and he was like, he started panicking because he couldn't finish the questions in time. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, in the actual GATE test, you're not going to finish the entire paper, right? For example, for general ability, you have 35 questions and you have 20 minutes to do it. What's that in terms of time? You have 30 seconds to do general ability questions. Like, what's the likelihood of you doing every single question in 30 minutes? Very low. So the whole mock exam is just for you to prepare, practicing, being comfortable, not finishing the questions in time. Adwik?
Are we allowed to fill out the form you were talking about? Because I'm not really sure, what the form is.
It's in the chat. It's literally just put your name in and then say that you're okay. There's 3 questions. What's your name? Would you like a free booklet? And are you happy to leave a review on Loyola? Ahmed?
So I have 2 questions. Where do you find the forum?
What's up?
Oh, okay. And the second question is, since we did 2 hours of English yesterday, were we supposed to do 2 hours this week of maths?
Last week, right? You mean last week, 2 hours of English? Yes. So that was the initial plan. And then I was thinking you guys would benefit more with 2 hours of consecutive with me in the last week of this term, because in the last week we go through the mock exam, right? But today we don't have that much content to really go through. Like we've already gone through most of it in class anyways, and it's just about revision anyways, right? But the mock exam class, I'm pretty sure we won't have time to go through everything in class. So the online class is going to be really, really useful.
Oh, okay.
Ashini?
Can you please go through number 4 in abstract reasoning, week 7?
Yeah, I can go through that. I'll quickly answer everyone's hands up first, and then I'll go through the list of questions that I already have to go through. Aarti? Aarti? Dev?
What's the Loyola mock test?
What's a Loyola mock test? Oh, so at the end of every term, you'll do a full length mock exam. You'll find more about it later. Dev? Okay, Darsh?
So this mock exam is going to have the same amount of questions as the real GATE exam, right?
Yeah. So unlike previous mock exams, we will have pretty much a full length mock exams, 35 questions for each section, except for writing where you only have one question. All right, Michelle.
And in the mock testing, are you gonna have like questions from the previous GATE test, or just gonna make the questions up?
So the only way we can do it is we can make the questions up. So the GATE exam itself, they're really secretive about the actual test. So nobody knows, what questions come up every, year. There's a few ways to go around it. Option number 1 is for one of us, the tutors, to pretend to be a student and go to the mock exam. Do the actual GATE test. But as you guys can tell, I don't look like a year 5 student. So it's impossible for me to do that.
Wait, can't you pretend to be a year 8 or something?
Do I look like a year 8 student?
Yep. You kind
Imagine
of.
you see.
Melvin looks like a year 2. Come on.
In first year of high school.
You have a brain like year 2 as well.
I think if I actually had a YouTube channel, I would edit that, and that would be like a thumbnail. You have the brain of a year 2. Anyways.
You do have a YouTube channel.
Anyways, so what we do is, obviously when we first started, we basically wrote the question based off our experience and other students who just did the GATE exam. But every year we completely rewrite the questions based on the feedback we get from the previous years. So for example, this year we had a few kids who did in year 4. So I think Sean, Atharv, these guys, they started with us in year 4, and the booklet they had in term 4 with us last year is not the same booklet you guys got for term 4 this year, because we've adapted it based on the feedback we've gotten. All right, guys, the rest of you with your hands up, just put in the chat. I'll come back to it. I need to go through the rest of the questions in the chat. Okay, question number 6, Amber. Is that for generability, Amber?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, no stress. Question 6. Okay, question 6 is one of the. Did Jenny say an answer for this? Because I think Jenny mentioned that there was something iffy about this question, or there wasn't. Was there anything iffy about the question?
He said it was B.
Okay, I'll go through it anyways. The reason I thought it was something iffy about this question is, can you see how the gray goes from transparent to what do you call it? Opaque?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was just I think formatting issue. But it should have been the same. And also, as you can see in the third image, the black has jumped up. It should actually be at the very back. So the alignment is kind of off. But basically what's happening is you have 4 squares and they're stacked on top of each other and they're moving around. And if you track the movement of the black one, and if you call the very back position as 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, The black one starts here at the very end. So the black one is here for the first image. Then it goes here. Then it goes here. And then it goes here. So what's the pattern? +1, +2, and then 1, 2,
Excuse me,
3.
Melvin. I can't
Yes, sir.
see your screen.
Melvin,
Yeah,
we
can't
can't
see
see
the
your
screen.
screen.
Yeah.
Can't see my screen. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, screen.
Can't see your screen.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Nah.
Not yet.
No.
No.
All right. Alrighty. Alrighty.
Oh.
All right. Let me see. One sec. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, bum. Okay, can you see my screen now?
No.
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 Why is it so right now I'm trying to share my screen, right? But it's sending it everything on your screen, including enable do not disturb to prevent what? Stop recording.
Share screen.
Yeah, but it's saying it's opening up with photos and stuff.
Right.
Oh, someone's getting in trouble. I don't understand much Hindi, but like I know that tapak means like you're getting a slap or something.
I understand that. I speak that language.
The voice is
Gujarati.
I speak
What was
Gujarati, but
was
it
that Gujarati?
means something.
Said I'll slap you and a bit more. Like they called them like chapati, and it was like it was funny kind of.
Okay,
But it's like
all right.
they're getting told
get
off
back to
because
it.
they did
Dev,
something
Dev,
very
Dev,
bad.
Dev, let's get back to it. So guys, there you go. That's a big incentive to make sure your microphones are muted. By the way, okay, look, I can't share my screen for some reason. I'll do it on this. Hopefully this works. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Tom.
Yep.
Yes,
As you can see, they are stacked on top of each other. They are stacked on top of each other. And okay, how does it move? So the black one, it's going up 1, then it's going up 2 all the way to the back, and then it's going +3. So it's going to the front, then to the middle, and to the third one. So the next one should be +4. So it goes all the way back to the same position. So it can't be A. Oh, see, this is what I mean, right? When I zoom in, it's jumping back a few pages. I don't know why it's doing that.
This is zooming out to other pages.
Yeah, why? I'm zooming within the same page, and then it just jumps back a few pages. All right. See? Do you see what happens?
That's weird.
Get trolled.
Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah.
You
Funny.
This is so rigged.
Stay zoomed in and then scroll down.
If somebody else could screen share or something.
No, it's okay. I don't want anyone else to screen share. Great. I don't know why it's doing this.
Not good.
I
Maybe
think
you
there's-
should.
Don't zoom in too much.
Okay.
Maybe you should go like
So it can't
Oh,
be
she
A.
finishes.
It can't be A because it's not in the same position. It could be B. It can't be C, and it can't be D. So the answer is B. Purely based on the black. The black is going +1, +2, +3, and the next one should be +4. Back to the original position.
I
Would it still work if you use the gray square?
Sorry?
Would it still work if you like focused on the gray square?
What is the word if I'm focused on the base square?
Wait, what? Wait, no. Like, would the never mind.
Oh, say it. I want to hear
Am
it.
I echoing?
No, you're fine.
Melvin,
What were you
what
saying?
question are
So
we doing?
I was just saying, like, would it still work if you like focused on the gray square?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, sir. I'm not sure.
I'll send it in the chat.
Okay. All right.
I
next-
still don't understand.
Okay. So basically, you have 4 Oh, why? Oh,
Just pause your screen.
Why don't you leave and like go join again? Try that.
okay. All right. Hopefully this works. Wait, maybe if I zoom in like this. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So we start off in the front. Then it goes back one here to here, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes back two to the very back. Then it goes all the way forward 1, 2, 3 to here. And then it's going to go back 4. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 to the same position. And that's why the answer is B.
Okay.
Batman. All right. Let's see what else we have. The tournament that I told you about is actually next week.
Huh?
I'm just reading through the questions out of the chat. Do I get my writing feedback on Saturday? Thursday class? Oh, I think you might get it, Alina, but because you switched classes, there might be a bit of a.
No, Melvin.
Because my writing's with Manny. Oh no, Achuk. I'm not sure.
Hi, Melvin. You only give answer for question 13. No, I actually went through question 13. So check out the video, the recording. It should be there. We went through the
Melvin?
whole. Yeah.
You know how you said like 2 weeks ago you'd spend 30 minutes in a Zoom class doing find the middle?
Yeah. So we will go through that. Don't worry, Kanchi. I think I answered the question earlier today, didn't I?
Yeah, you did question 13.
We'll go through it. We'll go through it. 1 sec. Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat. There's a lot of questions in the chat. 1 second, guys. Are we allowed to fill in the survey? Yeah. Melvin, will we get the other mock exam answers? Yeah, we can send it through. Can you make the mock exam 2 times harder than usual? Sure. We will see if that makes sense. What's the point of the exam for practice? Will the results come back like gate or do they measure? Okay. Will the results come back like gate? No, it wouldn't come back like gate. So in the gate test, I think I was talking to one of the parents. I think it was Gayatri's dad. Me and him were talking about the actual results of the gate test. So in gate, the results are kind of like this thing called a bell curve. I've told you guys what a bell curve is before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'll quickly show you. Anyone who continues to spam into the microphone, I'll kick you guys out and I won't add you back to the chat. But so I'll go through what a bell curve is. Okay. So a bell curve is Tejveer, please stop drawing on the screen. Thank you. A bell curve is just any way. So it's just a way that things are displayed on a graph. But normally, it's how most attributes or most things in the world is distributed. So in the world, if you look at this, the height axis, the y-axis as the number of people, and this as a percentile, most smart people, there's only very few of them. Like most people in the world are pretty average, and very few people in the world are extremely dumb. Very few people in the world are massively tall. Most people are average height, and very few people are tiny. What else? Very few people in the world are billionaires. Most people have average amount of money, and very few people in the world have extreme debt. So
Wait,
similarly,
Mohammed,
yeah.
there's more poor people than average people.
Sorry.
I'm pretty sure there's more poor people than like average amount of people.
It really depends on your perspective on average and poor. So if you look at Australia, for example, most people in Australia make about $55,000 a year. Like that's like if you look at the Australian census or the tax returns, that's how much most people make. Very few people in Australia, like 1% of people in Australia, make about $500,000 a year. And very few people in Australia have such extreme debt that they're just very, very poor. But pretty much most things in life follow this distribution. Similarly, in GATE, very few people at the top end will get a score above, 240, right? Very, very few people. Most people will get a score of like 180 or something like that. Pretty much. Most people will get score around here. And very few people will get a score below 140. Like, that's how it is. So as you can see, even though technically the GATE score should go from 0 to 400, most of the scores are between 140 to 240. It's a range of 100 points. So how do they get to that number? Honestly, nobody really knows, right? Your test papers itself is not out of 400 marks. Well, it's out of 400%, but how do they get to it? Nobody really knows. The main thing you gotta just focus on is doing your best. Because again, it's a comparative test. It doesn't matter what score you get. As long as you get above a certain number of people, you will do really, really well. So how can you do personally well? Just do as the best you can. All right. For question 6 in maths, you said I got lucky, but I tried it 4 different ways and it works. For different questions and it works. I'll check that out. It's just that method, there's no mathematical reasoning behind it, Vikash. Like that, I don't understand where you got that number from. That's why. Let's see.
Melvin.
Yeah.
For like the reading comprehension, right?
Yeah.
Do you know any ways to improve your reading comprehension?
Good question. Maria's just on the chat, and I'll tell you a tip that Maria told me to tell you guys. I'll just need to quickly check that.
Melvin,
1 second. Yeah.
if for a GATE test, if we get one question high, like for English, and then one question like lower for like math or something, does it make a difference or?
Not really. So I'm not sure if I told you guys about this other story. So 2 years ago, well, actually last year, I taught this kid. He asked me not to say his name, but he did really bad in maths, general ability, and maths and general ability. But he got the highest score. He got the highest score in the entire state for reading comprehension, and he did really well for writing. And he got into GATE. So he got into Perth Mod. I think he started Perth Mod last year or this year. I'm not sure. So it doesn't matter if you do, bad in one section, really good in the other section. As long as you do, look, if you do bad in one section, but you do really, really well in the other section, I think it should be fine.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, that guy is just one in 1,000 sort of thing, right? You're not going to get top of the state for a subject and then do really bad in the other subjects. So just do. Now, Gayatri.
I'm gonna say, what was the answer for question 14? 14.
For which subject, Gayatri?
General ability.
Okay. All right. So guys, I think one have to. Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, I just wanted to check.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute everyone. That's what I meant by 1 second. But yeah, sorry. I think there's a lot of you guys who still send questions in. I don't think we'll have time to go through all of it, but I try to go through as many. Question 14. I don't know the answer on the top of my head. Who does? Anyone here know what the answer was? Question 14 was.
B.
Sorry. B. Okay. We will.
A. It said A.
It's B.
Okay.
Jenny said A. Jenny said A.
Okay. We will.
Jenny said A.
Jenny said B.
It's
No,
Alright.
Jenny said A.
Please stop.
A.
Please stop spamming. Thank you. All right. So I'll ask Jenny and Manny, and I'll send you guys the answer key. From what I've heard from you guys, apparently it's B. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's A.
No, it's A.
It's +1 minus 2 +1 minus.
So,
I'm pretty sure it's 27.
Would you show me the question?
okay, 1 second. As I mentioned, please stop spamming me. I don't know who's this guy who's yelling A, but whoever it is, as I mentioned, please don't spam. Now, if what I think happened is Jenny said the answer is B, but there's one person who's yelling A. The person who marked his thing might have marked it incorrectly. I'll double check with Jenny, send a photo of it to you guys. Because as I showed you guys, we're finished making all the answer keys. So I think we'll most likely send the answer keys tomorrow afternoon. So I'll confirm what the answer was.
Melvin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jenny had the answer A, but then I told her that there was a different reason, and she was like, it could be B too, so she marked it B. Yeah, but it was A first, so she might have told the other classes that it was A.
Okay. I'll confirm. Okay. All right.
Melvin,
Yes.
can you go through question for an abstract reasoning, please?
So unfortunately, we're pretty much running out of time. I need to go through one more thing about reading comprehension. What I'll do is I'll definitely send in the answer keys that Jenny has made. And if you guys still have questions, I'll try to go through it next week, okay?
Okay.
Melvin, so am
Yeah.
I going to get my writing on Saturday or like?
Not sure. So we will try figure something out there, Alina. But see I think the only problem is Achut has to pass or leave the paper somewhere. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll try to figure it out. All right. Yeah. Okay. So the last thing I want to go through is about reading comprehension. So this was a tip that Maria told me to pass on to you guys. I think she can go into more detail about it. Basically, when Maria was younger, her mom used to make her practice for the reading comprehension test, right? And one of the things her mom used to do was get Maria to write a summary of all the text that she read. Now, the reason writing summaries on the text you read is so powerful is because usually when you just read a book, you're absorbing the information. But when you're writing summaries, it's called active learning, where you're taking that information, taking only filtering it out, taking the important parts of it, and then putting it back out, right? Just like studying anything, it's not about taking in the information that matters. It's when you put it out. A lot of you, I'm sure, have had experiences where you know how to do a question, but when it comes to the test, you just couldn't do it on the spot. Similarly, with reading comprehension, by practicing writing summaries, you force yourself to think, what's the most important 3 to 5 points in this passage that I read, and then summarize them and then write them out. And by doing that, you're more effectively using your time when you're studying for reading comprehension. So for the next 14 weeks before the gate test, I would highly recommend you guys to practice some summary writing. With that being said, it is your break. Come back at 6:03 and Maria's class will continue then.
Melvin. I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is that we'll get the mock exams that you're going to give us, those, are you going to give us the answers for them? So when we practice at home, we can still have the answers?
Not for the practice ones. So if we find it, we'll give it to you, but we're really busy with everything else. So we're not going to make new practice answers for those. If we do have them, if we can find them, we'll pass it on to you.
Thank you.
Mehtab?
Melvin.
Mehtab had his hand up. There's a line of people to hand up. Just put your hands up and then I'll come through. So
what's the homework for next week?
You have to do maths, bro. So week 8 math questions. Tejveer?
Okay, thanks. Could you please read my message to you?
Sorry?
Could you please read my message to you?
Oh, yes, your dog. Yeah, he looks so cute. As sorry, I just got distracted by some of the questions, but yeah, what breed is it?
The pug and a chihuahua.
Oh, that's so cute. That is actually so cool. Adwick.
Where do you find these texts? So, like on the holidays, you can read some and some.
Oh, right. Go through your old papers. So you know how we're gonna give you all the old term booklets, right? Use that.
Okay.
And finally, Tanav.
For the mock exam, will the questions be answered like gate? Like, so it depends on if the question's hard or not. Like, if it's a hard question, they'll give more marks. But if it's an easy question, they'll give less marks.
Now, I don't know where you got that information from, but nobody knows how GATE marks their papers. So, for example, we don't know if they give more marks or less marks, or if they give the same amount of marks. But in our classes, the way we'll mark it is every tick you get 1 mark. Every cross you get 0 marks. That's it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'll pass it on to Maria.
Okay. Hi, guys. I hope everyone can hear me.
Hola.
Hi.
Hola.
Hello, Maria.
Hi. Hi.
Bonjour.
Oh, people are still raising their hands. That's not scary at all. Joshua, do you have a question for me, or was that one for Melvin?
How long do you get to write?
In the GATE exam?
Yeah.
Yep. So as far as I'm concerned, it's 25 minutes.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, no more questions. Fantastic. Let's see. I hope everyone's back from their break. I don't know how long your break actually is, but it's 1 minute.
There's 1 more minute. It ends at 6.
Oh, right. I thought you said your break was your break was 1 minute. I was genuinely stressed for all of you guys. Someone asked, hit me with all your questions. Why? So if you have any questions at the beginning of the lesson that have to do with maybe something you saw during the week to do with English, something to do with the comprehension that you're unsure about, maybe a definition, you can ask me before the lesson starts during your break. I'm happy to ask any non-related GATE questions now.
I have one.
Questions. Yeah, okay, hit me.
My one is I don't understand for Pop Funkos how 4 is be childlike. I don't understand how.
Oh goodness. Okay. I actually don't know if I have that comprehension on me. Read that question out to me and I'll try to explain it to you if I can jog my memory very quickly.
Sure. Pop Funkos made adults feel. Then it was A, fun, B, childlike, C, addicted, D, enthusiastic.
Did you put addicted?
I put fond, but the answer was childlike.
Yes, I do remember the answer being childlike, but I also know that the dispute between that was people either got C, which was addicted, or B, which was childlike, I think. And I am pretty positive that there is a line in there, and I might be wrong because I don't have the text in front of me, that says that it was childlike, or it reminds them of their childhood, or kind of connects them to it in some way. I can't remember the exact wording of it. If I find that text later on, I can go through that with you. Oh, a bunch of hands. Shut up. Okay, that's stressful. Alfie, question.
When you mean like 25 minutes for the writing, do you mean like 25 minutes to like write, or like and plus 5 minutes to plan and 5 minutes to edit, or is it just 25 altogether?
Just
I think it is 25 minutes altogether, but how you choose to break that down in terms of you know, whether you want to plan, edit, etc., that's up to you.
Maria.
Guys, again, hands up. So, because I genuinely can't tell who's asking questions on the words. So I'm going to go through the line, and then when I get to that person, I'm sorry. Thanav is the next on the line with his hand up.
Wait, sorry, it was an accident.
That's okay. Dion, question?
If we get like a picture for the gay test, quickly story with it, like how long is there?
Are you asking about the writing section? Yeah. If you get an image prompt. If you get an image prompt, I think what we have decided and what people have been practicing is using that image as a metaphor in your text.
Okay.
Nibuno?
For the pop funker text, well, I don't get how like the first question works. Like wacky wobblers were a nostalgic line of toys, B, the original name of pop funkers, C, a part of collector's history, and D, a small company.
Okay, so we know that there might be a couple truths in there, right? Are there any answers in the line that it in no way can be?
Pardon? I didn't.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing I would do, especially with that question, is I would go through the process of elimination first, and then I would see whether or not there is an exact line that has been copied as an answer, or whether I need to interpret the vocabulary and find the answer. I think when you look at that question, it is looking at which is the most correct. So the process of elimination is going to be your best bet with that question.
Thank you.
No problem. Alina and then Advik.
So my question was for number 5 for Funker Pop. Is the question like the first answer was like pop funkers vinyls are expensive? It never in the text says they're expensive.
Oh my goodness, is that the answer? Was that on the marking key?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the answer was pop funkers were expensive.
Gee.
It was C.
It was, huh? Okay, well, look, guys, any questions related to that Pop Funko text, I don't have it on me currently, so I'm not going to be able to give you the best possible answer or help you work through that as of late. I actually will need to get a copy of that off my MacBook because I have to go find it. I have buried it in a lot of other comprehension papers, so I will go find it, and then probably next week I can try to go through that one with you guys. But for now, any questions related to that Pop Funko one, I don't think I have. If you give me 2 seconds, I can kind of try to see if I can find it, but most likely I don't have any papers with me right now. So the next question, sorry, Alina. Next question is Advik.
Do you have the Van Gogh text?
The Van Gogh text, that I definitely do have. All right. What question do you have about the Van Gogh text?
So for number 6, the answer is madness and essence of man and nature. So I don't get why he would try to express madness through his art.
The answer was C.
For number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was for question 6, I think?
Yeah, the answer is D for me.
Can you please read out what question that is? Because I think I might have a very different structure with the questions that I have in front of me. So can you read out what?
What was Van Gogh trying to communicate through his art?
So your options would have been insanity and human nature, the struggle with his madness, man, nature, and his spiritual essence, which is, I think the answer is C because it came directly from the text.
Yeah,
but if
I
was it not
D, but then Melvin said it was D.
Melvin said it was D, madness and the essence of man and nature.
Oops.
Okay, hold on.
Everyone said it was C.
Yeah, that's
You might somebody might have clicked it wrong, or you might have heard it wrong.
Nah, they definitely said C.
Okay, well, look, it is a literal question, which means that at some point in the text, it would have stated those 3 things. If that is not the case, again, remember we had that conversation about my goose energy and me being a little bit iffy with the marking key. But in this case, I actually think the Van Gogh text was as not really as debatable. So if Melvin said it was D and the marking key said it was D, it's most likely correct because it is a literal question. The answers would have come directly from the text.
So is it C or D?
Did Melvin say C or D?
Melvin said C.
I don't know.
Melvin
if I
said
see-
C.
I don't know.
Okay,
if
if
I
Melvin
see
said C, then
C.
the answer is C.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. All right, one last question. I'm going to take Kanchi's question and then I'm going to move on to what we have planned for the lesson today.
So, oh no, it was from before, but you already answered it. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. All right, one question, Tejvia, and then we'll move on.
No.
Don't worry, I will get to you guys in time. I just want to run through what we're going to do today. So Tejvia, what question did you have?
Could you please read the messages that he just sent? Because
The
I'm pretty
messages?
sure, yeah, to you.
Oh, did you get a puppy?
Yeah,
Is that the question?
no.
Oh, okay. I definitely don't know what question.
Type it in the chat, maybe.
Yeah, so if you have a question, put it in the chat and I'll see it. All right. One last one because I'm weak and I don't know how to say no. Girick, question.
Yes, this is not about reading comprehension. This is
That's
about
okay.
writing.
Uh-huh.
But like whenever I'm doing writing, my writing is always like quite bland. And like I don't really know how I can improve on that because like my writing is just like it's just quite bland. It's like it's not like in the sense interesting.
Do you find that when you write that you summarize a lot in terms of you keep your sentences absent of descriptive language in a way?
Oh, am I on mute?
I can hear you.
Okay. So basically, I feel like I can describe it. Like I just say like in sentences like, say if I'm describing someone going to like a park or something, I'll just write, Johnny loved to go to the park and he decided to go. But like, what would be like a better like version of writing? Like,
Okay, so I think that if you're explaining it like that, I would add in a couple of extra things. Instead of saying Johnny wanted to go to the park, why did Johnny want to go to the park? Start in a very different way. You know, instead of saying Johnny wanted to go to the park to play a game of soccer or whatever, maybe let me think. Why park is a weird one. Maybe Johnny needed to clear his head and he began to walk mindlessly until he saw the evergreen of the park before him and heard the laughter of children and thought maybe it would cheer him up from his glum state that he had found himself in that morning. So perhaps you could add more descriptive language in terms of the adjectives and finding the purpose. So what I tend to do is I feel like my writing is bland. If I feel like my writing is bland, I do a lot of character profiles. I try to determine why my characters would do what they do, because I think what's more engaging for a marker is a very good one and one of my favorite writers, Margaret Atwood. She ran a masterclass about starting stories in a different way or changing the perspective of the usual narrative. People normally go to the park to play like a game or to spend time with their siblings, or well, at least that's what I did. Margaret Atwood actually said, well, she took the Red Riding Hood story and she said, well, what if you start the story in the belly of the beast, like in the wolf, like changing the way that, you know, changing the purpose of particular locations. So actually planning out why you would go to the park and thinking, okay, well, instead of playing a game, what could I possibly do at the park? Is there going to be a murder at the park? Is someone going to go missing at the park? Is something interesting going to happen at the park? So I would recommend doing a character profile and considering the unusual ways you can use your setting, Girick.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, guys, I will get back to your questions later. So if you do have your hand up now, I'm going to consider you will be answering the questions I have to do with the lesson. So if you want to put your hand down now, go for it. And then I will take more questions that are unrelated to what we're going to do today later on. So what we're going to do, and Girik, I think this might also help you in terms of bland writing, because I also felt that my writing was a bit bland a couple weeks ago, is we're going to look at mood today. If anybody wants me to recap personification of settings, I will absolutely do so. But if people feel like they're comfortable with that skill, I'm going to move on from that rather quickly. So we are going to be focusing on mood, and we will then move on to recap of personification, and the very last part will be persuasive. So,
Maria.
Someone is calling out and I have no clue who it is. So who is it? Is it like absolutely important and you will die without the answer?
Well, it's Alfie, and don't you need to start recording?
Do
Live.
Wait.
It is live.
Oh, okay.
But thank you, Alfie. All right, moving on. Okay, so mood. So I know that you guys have a writing prompt. I think it might be due in this week in terms of what you had to write, but it was happiness is a state of mind. It was an image and you had to write about it in terms of persuasive or a narrative. I'm not entirely too sure. Maybe I'm incorrect. Someone clarify that for me.
Yeah, that was correct.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. So basically what you're going to be doing, right, is you want to define first off what that means, but a state of mind, as much as I hate to admit it, is a temporary feeling, I would say. But anyway, that's a side topic. So a mood is very important when it comes to narrative writing. They are directly related to your setting, and that is how I want to teach it to you guys. So when it comes to moods, there are a couple steps. And if anything, I'd like you guys to screenshot this. I will read it out and we can talk about it. And if anybody has questions about moods in particular, stick your hand up now and I will go through them with you. But it is just a way to spice up your writing. Common questions I get asked about when it comes to mood is whether you should be having more than one mood per piece. I think not. I think that you should focus on 1 to 2 moods, but if anything, just focus on one and push it as hard as you can into your setting. So it's like, think about very basic examples like a haunted house. Are you going to make that haunted house a bright and happy, cheery place? Probably not. No, exactly. So you're going to pick a mood that is most likely going to be related to your setting. Some people will, instead of focusing on setting, they'll pick a mood that's related to their character if their character is a very big, vital component of their narrative. Okay, so what I hope you guys are reading through that, but if there are any steps that anybody would like me to clarify, please let me know or stick your hand up. The hands that are already up, I'm assuming are to do with this. If not, drop your hand and I will not pick on you. All right, Guppy.
So can you, like, when you're given a prompt, are you allowed to use the prompt as a metaphor in your story?
Oh, absolutely. That's literally the purpose. But are you asking about mood or metaphor?
Metaphor.
Metaphor, then yeah, of course. You can use the whole point of having the prompt is to use it as a metaphor.
And
Dev. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Will you get more marks if you write a poem?
Ooh.
Like a really good poem? Because I did a poem and I got 44.
Ooh. Okay, so I don't have an issue with poems. In fact, they're one of my favorite things. What really irritated with me was the girl, one of my like arch nemesis in year 5. Okay, like, I mean, she used to get under my skin. She wrote a poem and I wrote a narrative, and yes, I only beat her out by like 1 point, but I think that when it comes to poems, they're a real hit or miss. If you did really well and you feel like poems are your strength, then absolutely keep practicing and go for it. But also check in with the tutors you have. I'm sure that any of them would be happy to go through that poem and help you improve it in any way. And also, I I can recommend it to you, but I don't teach you during class. I'm sure Melvin, Manny, or Jenny teaches you, or that they'd have a better opinion to tell you whether or not to write a poem for gay.
Yeah, and gay, will there always be like narrative, like prompt?
One prompt, and you can use it in different ways. But if you have any mood related questions, or if you have any other gate related questions, can we save them for the end? Because I kind of want to stick to the point currently.
I still have.
Oh, all right, Dev. Yep. Question about mood.
So my question about mood is that, like, when you're saying consider what these places have in common, do you mean like in a story we should like always change the settings from the start to the end, never keep it like the same?
Well, that is the answer to that would be like, yes, you can do either or, really. You can either keep it the same or change it. But what I'm saying is, when you consider what these places have in common, right, most of the time, what do happy places have in common? Do happy places have like the same things in common? In terms of like stereotypes, yes, they would. But if your narrative is very specific, right, you would plan it out in such a way, like, let's say that you are wanting to make somewhere that is usually quite a haunted place happy. You're trying to change the narrative or flip the trope on its head. What you would really want to do is you want to break your setting down. I say that all the time, but it's the best way to do it. When it comes to personification, breaking your setting down, best way to do it. When it comes to moods, considering what the places have in common, you can actually replace that step and change it to breaking down what the haunted house is composed of. So if a haunted house has a lack of light, is spacious, run down, old, isolated, or quiet, how can I kind of warp that or contort it or work on it to make that into a happy mood? How can I change that? Yes, a lack of light. What do I then bring in? Colors that are very nice and calming when they are on a low light. One of the very nice soothing colors when it is a lack of light, or considered to be, is does anybody get the warm and fuzzies when they hear like a crackling fireplace, or they see a crackling fireplace in the dark and the lights kind of flick up the wall and it's really nice and pretty?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily consider that something scary. If anything, I think of those colors and I get the warm and fuzzies. So I would say that when we are breaking these settings down, if you're trying to flip the trope on its head or whatnot, right, think about finding ways to make those aspects happier in that sense, if anybody was curious about that. Dev, I know I feel like I went off from your point, but the answer is yes, you can. But the answer was yes to your question.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, Shriv, question about mood.
It's not about this, but what's an arch nemesis?
An arch nemesis is someone who is like kind of like your enemy.
Okay, thank
you. No problem. All right, Elena, question about mood.
This was on the previous question.
All right, I'll come back to you then. Cristiano, iPad, question about mood.
Sorry. Wait, my question is, so you know when it says like ominous? It's like
ominous?
It says like sticker yeah. Equals spooky. Does it mean like a synonym for? You should like synonym for something?
Actually, yeah. The definition for ominous is pretty much spooky. It is when I write definitions, I use basic synonyms. So if you like later on when you see the persuasive, it's not going to be full definitions down below. It's going to be synonyms that are going to make it easier for you to understand what the words mean in context.
So it's like better to do that.
Yeah, it's better to use ominous than it is to use spooky.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Ahmed, no problem. Ahmed, question about mood.
Is it better to have multiple moods? And if it is, then how many do you recommend?
No, okay, so like I said before, I would only recommend you stick with one when you're first trying this out, 1 to 2. And that mood would be like you begin with all ominous and spooky at the beginning, and then you progressively move toward we've killed the ghost, it's amazing, our lives are going to be so much better, a happy mood right in your conclusion. So that would be the only moods that I would focus on. Don't try and push like 6 or 7 moods into this thing. Okay, moving on. So here's a question about mood.
Can you like change the moods? Like you have a happy life at the start, then like it's becoming worse and worse and worse like that. Then you're becoming sad and going into different
100, yeah, 100%. That's actually one of the things with moods. But I would suggest not having like a scale of moods, being like 1 minute there. Actually, well, that would be if you're talking about like someone struggling with something, right? They would have like a whole.
Grief.
Pardon?
Like grief first, like
like grief. Like if you're writing about the 5 stages.
Anger, then sad, because like those are like stages.
Good, but you always have to remember that the underlying mood would always be grief at the end of the day. Like they would be in mourning, so you would still have to bring that in. So your overall mood would.
Yeah, should I make it just like the kind of like a synonym?
Kind of, but what I would do really, if that, let's say your story was about grief, my overall mood would be grief, and how I implemented my 5 stages or whatnot would be moments. Like I would have like my character smiling or having a physical reaction rather than changing the mood completely around them. I don't think that changing the mood would really be the smartest thing to do. Focus on a different narrative aspect rather than having multiple moods. Okay. All right. I'll take one more question. Gayatri, one more question, and then we're going to move on to the next part.
My question was that I don't get like what the last steps are.
Okay, so whack these words into any and all setting mentioned. And number 6 is place yourself into your character's shoes to be as realistic as possible. So, Gayatri, I've said this one. I'll start with 6 because 6 is applicable. Because 6 is applicable to every and all situations, right? So you should always place yourself into your character's shoes, like with Sahit's example of being experiencing grief or whatnot, right? The only way to get your audience to engage is to write about it from the heart, I would say. If you write about it from a distance, no one's really gonna connect with it. But if you can imagine yourself in your character's shoes for just a moment, how they would feel, how they would act, imagine it's you, you're going to be able to convey the mood better than you would have just writing from a distance, I would say, Gayatri. If number 6 makes sense now?
Maria, I have to leave. Can I rejoin just quickly?
Yeah, guys, if you need to leave and rejoin, you don't have to ask permission. I'm always going to accept people into a class if that happens, so it's fine. No problem. Anyway, Gayatri, number 5 is whack these words into any and all setting mentioned. So anytime you mention that setting, so let's say you go back to talking about the haunted house, right? So your character to blah, 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 blah. At the beginning, you start talking about the haunted house. Then maybe near your resolution, you're like, I still thought about that house, the creaky steps, etc. Anytime you bring up the setting, you might want to jump in and put some additional adjectives that kind of make the setting sound like an unhappy place, if you've gone with an unhappy place to begin with, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Okay, moving on. I hope everyone's had the time to take screenshots or write notes or whatever you do to remember this stuff. I'm going to move on from it now because I actually feel like if you follow the steps, it should work out for you, hopefully. All right, moving on. Okay, so these are my tips for mood, my own personal tips that I actually agree with because Margaret Atwood had a say in all of them and I love her. So these are her tips from me to you. So setting, you want to pick a physical location. If you have a happy setting, you have a happy mood. Number 2, you want to determine your tone. Now this is very difficult and I do understand if you're like, what is tone? Don't worry too much about it. Okay, what I would recommend is that you write the way you normally write, and that's going to be your tone to begin with. But you want to pick like what is going to develop your tone is picking the right vocabulary. Okay, and we'll talk about choosing the right vocabulary when it comes to persuasive later on, because I've noticed a lot of you are kind of not choosing the best vocab that you could be. But when it comes to narratives, like say you're writing about a happy setting, collect as many adjectives as you can that have positive connotations and leave them next to you when you're practicing, okay? That's going to help develop your tone. Word choice, diction, we've talked about it when it comes to persuasive, connotations, you know what these things are. If anybody is confused about connotations, I will be happy to go through it when we're talking about persuasive. Number 4 is theme. We have done theme last term in terms of an overarching idea and how to develop your theme, but these are the 4 ways in which you can implement mood into your stories. Should you be using all 4 of these things to do so? It's very difficult. Yes, you can, but if you choose one and you try to put mood into just the setting, or you try to choose words that are unhappy and you focus on just diction, that would be absolutely fine as well. You don't have to focus on using all 4 steps to establish mood. Okay. Ahmed, question about mood?
No, that was from before.
Okay, no problem. I'll get back to you then. Bhupinder's iPhone question about mood.
Can you give an example of mood?
An example of mood?
Yes.
Okay, so the one that I have above is ominous, which is like spooky, right?
Yes.
But you can also have like a very depressed mood. Depressed not meaning like it just means very, very sad. Okay, you can have a very, very depressed mood. I normally go for very sad, unhappy moods because that's where my stories usually wind up. Someone asked recently whether stories need to have a happy ending. No, they don't. I would go for a depressed mood, and I would consider where depressed moods can occur. And most of the time when I consider depressed moods, I think of very realistic places. I think about school, I think about your bedroom, I think about houses, I think about anywhere someone would be alone, because I think that you are your most sad when you're by yourself in particular stories. I'm not saying that if you're alone, you're sad, but in narratives, most of the times when characters experience intense sadness, it's when they're by themselves. So I would consider what those, so let's say I went with a bedroom, right? I would consider what that bedroom would have inside it and how I can use that bedroom to kind of associate adjectives to it. So I might use my bed as like a comfortable pillow on the way out or something. Like I make it into a metaphor that allows me to express my mood. I would talk about the shadows that paint the wall as the day moved past me, but I remained still. I would try to find as many aspects of the room that I could attach negative connotations to the Pinder's iPhone, if that helps.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Nishal, question about mood.
Yeah, about mood, can you like start with some mood and then just change to a different kind of mood?
Like I said before, you want to have at least 1 to 2 moods, but you wouldn't be going 1 mood, 2 mood, 3 mood, 4 moods and consistently changing it. You don't have the time and gate to do so. So I would recommend 1 to 2.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. All right, moving on. Okay. We were going to practice, but what I think is if you guys want to practice this stuff, you should start off with gloomy, idyllic, and romantic. I feel like these are all on different like they're on different ends of the spectrum. Idyllic would be in the middle, romantic would be on the far right, and gloomy would be on the left. And the reason I chose these 3 is because, well, let's say you went with gloomy, right? Then you could easily use the adjectives you use there to do depressed. You could do monotonous, you could do dull. You just exchange the word gloomy for any of those things, and the adjectives you've collected are going to be able to help you. You know what I mean? So that's why I chose these 3, and I would suggest that you practice them in your own time. And look, if you do practice it during the week and I see you next Sunday and you have questions about it, ask them there, and I'll be happy to go through that with you guys then.
All
right.
Maria, can you go up, please?
Whoa. Okay.
Onto
is that enough?
Second page, like the next one.
There?
Yeah.
Maria,
Okay, question, yeah.
what does diction mean?
Diction means your choice of words.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, I'm going to move on now. Boom. Does anybody need a recap of personification while we're here? I know that we've gone through it, I think at least 2 times last term. So if anybody needs a recap, please stick your hand up and we will do that right now.
Maria?
Oh, Kanchi, I know it's you now.
Because for writing, if I get a like a score and feedback, Manny or Melvin tells me that I'm not relating to the topic enough, how do I make my story relate to the topic more?
Okay, that's a fantastic question, Kanchi. Can you put it in the chat and I'll write you a personal response to it later. But try to keep the questions related to the topic. Otherwise, I lose my train of thought with what's going on. But I do know what you're saying. And if you can put that question into the chat, I'll give you like a personal message later. Okay, guys, any questions that are unrelated to the topic at hand, if you're waiting on me to like answer a question that's unrelated, can you actually put it into the chat? I will go through them at the end of class if you can wait for a response. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming no one wants to go through personification again. Oh, someone said I do. I appreciate that because I like personification.
I do.
Okay, stop spamming. I get it.
I do.
Guys, come on. No spamming. I heard the I do. We got it. Thank you. All right. So there are 3 types of personification that are, well, they're not personification, but they're basically making something into something else. Conventions. All right. We have personification, and I've gone through the fact that it's a suffix. Person is, well, we know what a person is. And ification means making something into. So personification is making something into a person. And we know that that is an object. Yes, because figurative language, and you guys have done it 1,000 times, and I know you're good at that. The next one, and this is something that you don't have to know, but I thought you guys would be interested to know it, is zoomorphism. Okay, so when we are looking at zoomorphism, that is basically making something into an animal. So let's say we have an object, we then zoomorph it into an animal. We make the box growl, we make the box claw, we make the box squawk, etc. Now, the next one is anthropomorphism. And this one does not relate to objects, it relates to animals, okay? Anthropomorphism is when we make an animal into a human. So we give the animal human characteristics. Now, I thought it was important that you knew that there were differences to these 3 things, because I have had people try to tell me that, well, when they're writing, they go, I use personification. And I'm going, no, you didn't, because you've gone and you've made your object into an animal. And it's very impressive. Don't get me wrong. When I see this stuff, I'm like, ooh, awesome, amazing. But make sure that you have the correct terminology for it if you are going to experiment with it. There's a bunch of questions. You guys are so keen today. Okay, fantastic. So easiest way to do this is through setting. First thing that I want you guys to do is to pick a setting. My favorite one is the beach. I love the beach. I don't think you can go wrong with the beach, all right? So the next thing you do is you break that setting down, or you characterize that setting. So what is the beach made of? We know that the beach has water, the beach has waves, the beach has rocks, shells, wind, and sand. If there is anything else that you feel the beach absolutely has, and I've absolutely forgotten, and it's not a beach without this, you can let me know with your hand up or scream it out if necessary, but I would hope not. I feel like I got the main components anyways. So step 3, right? And I'm hoping that you guys would have been practicing this by now, because English needs to be practiced repeatedly, consistently, and you can never stop. You want to have a list of adjectives, verbs, and nouns that are associated to humans. Now, the most important part of number 3 is the fact that it says associated to humans, okay? So if you use a verb or an adjective or a noun that isn't associated to a human, I'm not going to be able to immediately identify it as personification. And I'm going to go, oh, okay, well, they've done something, but I don't know whether I would consider it personification. So make sure the verbs, adjectives, and nouns that you choose are associated to humans. Cool. Now, number 4 is to link your vocabulary, your verbs, adjectives, and nouns to the aspects of setting. So the example I did was waves, and crawled. Whew, I've linked them. Now, one of the things that I love about step 4 is you don't have to plan this out. You don't have to be like, oh my goodness, I don't know what adjective or verb or noun to link these aspects to. Just guess. Honestly, it works out either way. Like if I had changed that to, instead of crawled, I'd gone with, what are my options? Hugged? It would work just the same. I could easily say the waves hugged the shore. The waves screamed as they bashed against the rocks. The waves were nonchalant that morning, etc. It doesn't matter what verb, adjective, or noun you choose, as long as you pick one. But fun fact, if you are trying to establish a mood and you do figurative language to do so, you would be more careful with the verbs, adjectives, and nouns you use. Let's say you had a character who was, let's go with the hits example, grieving, okay? You would probably have that character standing on the beach, mindlessly staring out at the waves and just in this absolute mushy brain state. And he would describe the waves as nonchalant. He would describe the squawk of the seagull as bare and, guttural. It would be quite dark the way he described things. All right. So if you are establishing mood, that is the only time you get a little bit particular and sensitive with the verbs, adjectives, and nouns you are picking to describe the aspect of setting. All right. The final step is to put this into full sentences. The example I gave was waves and crawled. So the full sentence we have is the waves, as beautiful as they were, crawled to shore to greet the tourist of the day. And yes, I feel like the best way to implement personification is through complex sentences. So don't come at me for that. I know you can have very basic sentences and short, simple sentences with personification, but if you are trying to improve your language, use complex sentences. I know I rushed through that, but if anybody has questions only related to this, steps 1, 2, 3, or 4, please stick your hand up and I will answer them now. If not, lower your hand and I'll get back to you. Okay, Girick, question about personification.
I'm sorry, I've had my hand up on before. I'll put it back down.
Okay, fantastic. Be a question for personification?
Is it okay if I ask a question about mood for now?
No, I do want only personification questions. I will come back to you, Abia, because later.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. Bhupinder's iPhone question about personification, please. No? Maybe? Yes? Question about personification? No? All right, Aaron, question about personification, please.
For the words, right? Like, do you know any a good way of finding words for different types of personifying settings? Different types of settings.
Oh my goodness, yes. I was actually going to bring this point up a while ago. So there are two options I have for you today. One of them is much longer than the other one. The first one is I did mine the long way, but I know that you guys are on a time crunch here, so I just wanted to see whether this would work. I actually searched up settings such as, let's say, the beach, right? And I go adjectives associated to the beach, and I put that into Google, and I found a list of adjectives that you could use that were associated to the beach, and it worked quite well. I genuinely just did a Google search and it was there. Now, the second way and the better way to do this is to read classic books. They give you the best kind of personification. The book I'm reading currently right now, and one, like Melvin said, my mum was a fiend when it came to literature and books and reading when I was much younger, probably why I am obsessed with English today, is The Wind in the Willows. Now, The Wind in the Willows is a classic book that anthropomorphizes the characters within, but the most interesting thing is that the adjectives and how they personify the setting that they're in. And within the first 3 pages, I had found the most unusual, amazing adjectives, and I was just blown away by how they were personified. And that book is way below my reading level. It's probably way below any of yours as well, but the knowledge within it is not. So I would recommend jumping. The Wind in the Willows.
Okay.
Is it a comic book version?
Guys, no more comic books. Read full books. I know that I read comic books, but I am an adult who has read multiple classics. No more comic books until Gate is done. Classic books only.
Like, and also asking, like, is this a good book? Because I've heard of it. It's the book about like someone and Mr. Hyde, something.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, the stranger. Yeah, that one.
It is definitely a classic. 100% read it, but read the Penguin edition, not any other edition. Okay. Penguin. It's like a publishing.
I've heard of it before.
Yeah, it's like a publishing house. Anyway, so The Wind in the Willows is basically about a rat and a mole who are BFFs for life, and they're very funny, and it's great. I love it. I suggest you all read it. Okay, moving on in the last 15 minutes. No more questions about personification. I apologize if anybody missed out.
Wait, Maria.
What does BFFs mean?
Wait, Maria, what book was it?
The Wind in the Willows is the book. Someone asked me what BFFs mean. Is best friend forever, never, 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 never.
No, about the rat one.
Oh, the mole and the rat.
Yeah.
That's called The Wind in the Willows.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Okay, my persuasive. The topic is mythology is useless and shouldn't be taught in school. I hope that people have an opinion on this. I hope at this point you do. If not, quickly come up with whether you agree or you disagree. Based on my personal opinion, I agree that I don't agree. I think that mythology should be taught in school. I think it's very interesting, blah, 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 blah. I love it. So I'm a bit biased, but because I love it, I'm going to argue for it. Okay.
Maria.
Someone asked me a question.
Me?
Yeah.
What is mythology?
So, Dev, if you turn your attention to the key vocabulary, it says mythology is a collection of myths, which are stories that have been made up, especially ones belonging to a particular religion or culture.
Okay, thank you.
I have something to say.
Is it related to mythology, Guppy?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Go.
So I think mythology should be like taught in school because it's very interesting and knowledgeable.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. I agree. So one of the things that I chose the topic because I love it, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you guys is a lot of the persuasive texts I'm reading, people are stating their points. They are not arguing them. They are not going into detail or using the structures that have been painstakingly put together and provided for you. So one of the things that I have not seen, which I need to see, is people using a structure for their introduction. Please use a structure for your introduction. It is so important. I will show you one in a second. Even though I went on, I think I'm pretty sure I gave you 3 already, but I want to recap the one that I like the best. So I always do a brainstorm when I start, and I know that this seems like a very long, drawn-out way of getting to an argument, okay? But what I forgot was that you guys pretty much get a full 2 weeks to write a persuasive for Loyola, right? When you get like a writing assessment. Is that incorrect, or am I?
Sometimes Melvin asks us to time ourselves.
But before you time yourself, you still get the opportunity to plan, right?
Yes.
So pretty much. All right. So the long drawn out process is fine unless you have to do it in class. I practice this way, so I'm not gonna hate on it because it works. Something that I've noticed is missing is people aren't mentioning a target audience. We've gone through target audience in terms of who you are writing for. All right. Now, if the statement is mythology is useless and shouldn't be taught in school, we know that our target audience must be people who care or should care about school. So we have kids, teachers, or the education department. Is there anybody else this topic would relate to in any way? Stick your hand up if you have an answer for that. Dev?
So technically, be taught in school, But like I'm just talking about normal mythology to then go into school at the starting. Like I think it's useless because there are many cultures and different. Yeah, your parents, they will teach you something as well. So your parents also teach you about mythology, like why are we following our tradition?
I like that. I do like that. I like that adverse opinion. But Dev, when it comes to target audience, is there anybody else that this text would relate to besides kids, teachers, and the education department in terms of whether mythology should be taught in school or should not be taught in school? Who would I be writing my text for?
I would be technically writing it to the government, like
so the education department.
Yeah, because like they have like the power. They control what we need to learn. So if we change it from there, then we can change it. Because we might have a favorite teacher teaching us, and they're teaching us mythology. We might not want them to go out, but we can change what we're learning at least. And for that, we need to target the education department.
Oh, well done, Deb. I like that. Okay, so I'm most likely either, yeah, fantastic. So the one thing that I noticed is in the chat, there's an opinion. I'm not going to say through. Be realistic with what you're arguing. Okay, so if you agree and you think that mythology is useless and shouldn't be taught in school, it's not because it's going to take away from another subject. Remember that it would be ingrained into the curriculum. So when you're learning to persuasive write, you would probably learn about mythology at the same time. If you are learning to write a narrative, your teacher might give you a myth to read and go, okay, use this as an example and then write. Never once will a subject take away from another subject, because that's the same as saying, should art be taught in school? No, it shouldn't, because it's going to take away from my math period. That's not necessarily how it works. So another thing, keep your arguments as realistic as possible. All right. So obviously my thing says disagree, like as big as possible, right at the top, because I do love mythology, and I'm happy to hear differing opinions, because I think that's only going to make everybody else's opinion stronger. This is how I brainstorm. Now, obviously my numbers are all over the place because I don't know how to count. It literally goes 1, 3, 4, 2, 5. Okay. So my examples were Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and Norse mythology, because that's what I understood. I think that when you are planning, you should always have a very strong idea of the examples you are going to use. You do not write your paragraph and go, oh my goodness, I'm at the example section, let me just make mine up on the spot. When you're planning, get down the most appropriate examples that you are comfortable with using. Okay. The next one is number 2 was the purpose. Figure out the purpose of the statement. All right. So mythology, does it have a purpose? And I believed that it did. I said it conveys morals, it teaches us history, it reflects culture, and it gives us perspective. All right. Now, the most important one that I want you guys to focus on is the Teal paragraph breakdown. Okay, now the reason that I wanted to break down with the paragraph is, again, because I noticed a lot of you are stating your points rather than explaining. Okay, now I chose perspective as my key point. So perspective in my topic sentence, which is where I tell my marker what my paragraph is going to be about, I explain why perspective is important. Do I relate it to the topic yet? Nope. I just tell my marker why perspective is important, and I act like my marker knows absolutely nothing. Okay. One of the things is I think people are presuming that their markers know things. Pretend and always assume that the marker knows absolutely nothing. All right. Now, number 2 is, well, not number 2, E, which stands for explain. I need to then explain in detail why mythology teaches students perspectives. And the example I came up with is because you look at both sides of the story. The example I related directly to mythology, all right? And I chose Hades and Persephone. You don't have to pick mythology-based examples, especially if you get this topic. I don't expect you guys to know any myths. If you do, fantastic. But if you don't, you can still come up with stats, facts, and you can make up a bunch of things. I chose this one because it related to me the most. The next thing is, I notice a lot of people are summarizing their paragraphs at the link back. That is not what you are supposed to do. A link back is genuinely where you reflect back on the original statement. So in this example, it says mythology is significant as it is an engaging way to develop a young mind's perspective. So yes, I know I have 6 minutes. Here is the introduction structure. Please take a screenshot if you haven't already. And if you know it, I'm very happy. Start using it. It is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So this is the example introduction that I gave. If anybody also wants to take a screenshot of that as well, I suggest it. It is quite lengthy, but again, I think I've mentioned that my syntax is much longer than a usual person's syntax. I add unnecessary words. The first thing I did was I started off with a hook. A man, though wise, should never be ashamed of learning more and must unbend his mind. That is directly from a myth. I Googled it because, again, planning time, I have the opportunity to do such a thing, okay? The term mythology encompasses myths belonging to a particular culture or religion. Common myths can be derived from the Greeks, Egyptians, or Norfolk. They are more than just stories and aren't just significant to our education. They are arguably crucial. Each myth consisting of an abundance of morals, history we can learn from, and perspective our generation is in dire need of. To question their place in the classroom would be an injustice to our learning. Very dramatic. However, does it follow my structure? Yes, it does. Except for the last part, I realized that that was more of a reflection of my stance because I didn't want to put a persuasive device in. So if anybody has questions about that structure, please stick your hand up and I will go through it very quickly one more time. Shriv, question about the introduction or a question?
What does encompasses mean?
Okay, if you look down, I've put the definitions of the 2 hardest words there. So encompasses just means surrounds and dire just means very serious.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, Neelam.
It's not really that. It's not what's in hook.
Oh, I actually can't hear you, Neelam. Can you speak a little bit louder?
What's a hook?
A hook is basically how we engage our reader. It should hold the ideas of the text and be related to it in some way. So my favorite ones to do for hooks, question, statement, or quote related to the topic, Neelam.
Maria?
Sorry, Kachi, I'll get back to you because I'm assuming that's you. Aaron?
I just sent you a message for the
Yeah, don't worry, I will read through that. I did see your message. Aaron, question about introduction?
Yeah, I've got a question. So like you know how you said that you didn't like in a way that you're not just saying that you're gonna go through your reasons. How do you do that?
How do you not? What do you mean?
When I mean that, I mean you know how usually in normal unusual persuasive writing they have what your reasons are. Saying that in the beginning they're gonna say that their reasons.
Right. So my summarized points are all in red. And I like to think that I'm going to put it in as intrinsically, which means as naturally as possible. So I just literally take what my 3 reasons are. In this case, it's morals, history, and perspective. Those are my 3 reasons. And I just list them down as quickly as I can. Because what we have to remember is you can't explain what your reasons are in your introduction. They are meant to be for your body paragraphs, right? So what you should do is you should try and if you were doing it in the most basic way possible, it would be they are more than just stories and aren't just significant to our education. They are arguably crucial as they provide an abundance of knowledge, history, and perspective our generation can use. If that makes sense, Aaron, just list them.
Okay.
Okay. I do understand that we are out of time, so I'm going to finish this lesson next week. But if you can screenshot and go through these questions in your own time, I think it will really make a very big difference to how people are writing their persuasive texts. If anybody wants me to scroll to a particular page, put it in the chat and I will scroll there. If anybody has questions, let me know or put them in the chat. Alina, you've had your hand up for a while. I will get to you now. Okay, Advik, question. Oh, sorry.
Or has the lesson finished? Or is it
The
still
lesson
going?
is finished. It is. Advik,
Bye
question.
Bye.
Okay, guys. Yes, goodbye to everyone. But when people are telling me their questions, I can't hear them. So just leave a bye in the chat and goodbye to you all. Advik, question.
Are we gonna write this text and this stuff next week?
Yes, I do want to start off with persuasive in terms of how to argue your point properly. So I put an example, very messy paragraph there for us to talk about next week. That's what we're going to do. And we'll also probably go through the Wacky Wobblers or the Pop Funko text again when I get a copy of it.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
No problem. Nichelle, question.
What does the Teal stand for?
Topic sentence, explain, example, and link back to original statement.
Thank you.
Maria?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I got distracted.
I have Donna. Okay, I have 3 questions.
All right, hit me.
One of them was like I actually had 2 questions. One of them is is it okay to lie?
Is it okay to lie? Is this the ICAS question?
Pardon?
I feel like this question was given in the ICAS test recently. Is it okay to lie? It depends who you're lying to. I think that lying is a necessity when it comes to life. So yes, but it depends. You don't lie to your parents because then you'll get grounded. Do you lie about what you got your parents for Christmas? Yes, you do.
No, like when you're writing persuasive texts.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I thought you were asking me a philosophical question. Yes, you can lie.
No, and my second question is, you took no, like have you got any tips to be a pro writer? Like anything to do?
To be a pro writer, okay. Considering the fact that I am not a pro writer, I haven't exactly released a novel or anything, what I would say is write every single day, read as many classic books as you can get your hand on, read different genres. Just because a book looks boring doesn't mean you don't read it. You still need to read it. Every book has something it can teach you. So read as much as you can and write as much as you can and respond to different prompts as well. Look at quote prompts, look at image prompts, practice just your figurative language skills. Write different types of alliteration over and over and over again until it becomes a habit that you don't notice you're doing in your writing. So there you go. As quickly as I could, that would be my advice to you.
Okay.
Is that 3 questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Akansha, question.
When you're summarizing, if there's multiple moods and word choices, how would you know what the actual theme is?
Okay, so if you were, wait, hold on. I thought you were talking about if you were summarizing.
Yes.
How would I know what so explain the question to me one more time.
If there's multiple moods and word choices, how would you know what the mood is, if, the theme is, if there's lots of different ones?
Okay, but remember that theme can give you mood. Mood doesn't directly link to theme. Okay, so just because your theme is hope doesn't mean that the mood is hope either. Remember that?
Okay.
Yeah, so they're not linked, and I don't want you to think they are linked.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Bhupender's iPhone question.
Are there any tips on reading comprehension besides writing a summary?
Any more tips to reading comprehension besides writing a summary? Oh goodness, reading comprehension was drilled into me, like it was drilled. So what did I do to practice? I would summarize, I would read recipes, and I would play memory games. Memory was a big thing when it came to comprehension for me. I think that you should practice extending how much of the text you can remember in one shot. My mom was very strategic when she taught me. She made sure that I could read the text once by the time I got to gate and could remember the answers for the text by then. And how she would make me do that is she would read the text to me out loud and then have me tell her what the text was about. Now, I understand that that sounds like summarizing, but it's actually forcing you to remember without looking at the text. So practice extending your memory of the particular things in the text. The next thing for reading comprehension would be, anytime you see a reading comprehension text, get a highlighter and find particular words that you think you know the definition of. Like if you would know the definition in context, right? But you don't necessarily know how to put it into words per se. So like for me, one of the things that I would struggle with telling you about would be maybe, I'll go with an easy one. Actually, good. Learning. All right. I feel like learning, I know what it is, but could I articulate that into a word, into a definition? Probably terribly, but yeah. So find basic words that you know and also define them just to make sure that your definition game is on point by the time you get to gate. That would be for lexical questions. Effective questions, I would quote interpretation thing. I would find quotes on Pinterest and try to interpret what they mean, figure out what the metaphor is telling you. And then I would also then use those same interpretations for my narrative and write a narrative about the metaphor you've taken out of the quote. That would be good. That's linking both skills. And read the news, my friends. Read the news, listen to the news, listen to podcasts about the news. It's very important. Those would be my tips for comprehension. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Lakshmi.
Would we like use rhetorical questions while writing the introduction for persuasive?
Would you use rhetorical questions?
Yeah.
Of course, you can add any kind of persuasive device you want to an introduction. The structure that I gave is the bare minimum. I usually add a rhetorical at the end of my introductions.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. So Nichelle and then Bupinder's iPhone.
No, my hand is down, sorry.
Oh, that's no problem. Nichelle.
For narrative writing, when you're writing like horror stories, can you end in a cliffhanger?
I'm pretty sure that Melvin or somebody has said no, because it can make the marker think that you didn't know how to end. So because they can be quite difficult to achieve in a short period of time. What I would suggest is, for any genre you want to write, figure out an ending to that story before you begin writing. Just in case, if you feel like you've practiced cliffhangers enough and you're like, I am an ace at this, I know in any situation I can write a cliffhanger for this, then yeah, go for it, but practice it. You know what I mean? Like go check with one of your tutors and see whether it's something you should be doing in gate. If not, I would suggest you find a way to end your story in a different way.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Guys, I think that's it for the questions. So anybody else who has a question relating to English, the gate exam for English, let me know. If not, we are pretty much done, and I wish you all a very good week. I do need to go through the questions in the chat. Because okay, and we are done.
Bye, Maria.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.